Top 10 Richest Economies in the World by GDP year 2021. The economic health of a country is determined by the GDP, gross domestic product, which refers to the total market value of all the goods and services a nation produced in a given year. The nominal GDP estimates done year on year help in ranking the countries economically. Fluctuations in the rate of a country's currency can also lead to varying results. Number 10. Canada nominal GDP. $1.73 trillion. Canada is celebrated for its mining of valuable metals and is home to probably the biggest gold creation organizations on the planet, which has had a colossal effect on its general economy. Goldcorp was at one time the biggest gold provider on the planet, before it converged with US-possessed Newmont Corporation in 2019, prompting a rebrand of Newmont Goldcorp Corporation. Barrick Gold, Yamana Gold and Kinross Gold, alongside other Canadian gold stocks, are completely recorded on significant worldwide trades and accessible to exchange on our foundation. Canada has a standout amongst other business rates around the world, with a normal yearly joblessness pace of around 5 to 6%, albeit this has hopped essentially since the COVID-19 pandemic. This is mostly because of its unmistakable quality inside the administrations and assembling areas, as organic market is developing reliably, alongside promising circumstances for work. Number 9. Brazil nominal GDP, $3.32 trillion. Brazil has been going through a period of financial downturn since 2015, because of numerous crucial variables, like monetary changes, falling items send out costs and political strikes. In any case, it is as yet one of the world's biggest economies as far as agribusiness, mining and assembling. Specifically, it is the world's essential wellspring of espresso, Arabica and Robusta, sending out roughly 2.7 million metric tons every year, just as different wares. Brazil is considered as one of the BRICS, a relationship of major arising public economies, alongside different nations on this rundown and outside of the main 10 economies. Brazil is turning out to be more urbanized every year and therefore, there is high potential for its modern areas. The land contains mineral saves that are accessible to exchange inside the items markets, with metals like iron, tin, copper, just as rock, gold, flammable gas and oil. Brazil is likewise a significant competitor inside the environmentally friendly power area, as the measure of stream frameworks and precipitation help its potential for making hydroelectric force inside Brazil's dams. Number 8. Italy nominal GDP, $2.24 trillion. Italy's economy is split between the north and south locales of the country. The profoundly industrialized north contributes towards most of the nation's economy, though the south shows up less created with higher neediness levels, a lot higher joblessness rate. Following the 2008 monetary emergency, joblessness rates began to take off, topping at 12.7% in 2014 and generally influencing the more youthful ages. Notwithstanding, this figure has figured out how to diminish to a normal of 9.9% in 2019, which is an impressively lower rate. Italy is the biggest center point for extravagance merchandise in Europe and third around the world. Their assembling area contains numerous little and medium-cap organizations inside the modern triangle of Italy: Milan, Turin and Genoa. These can be promising as far as development, and when exchanging little and medium-cap stocks, merchants could investigate the organization's fundamentals to see whether they will be a wise venture. The northern areas of Italy will in general reflect car, aviation and other specialized enterprises, though the southern districts ordinarily center around more family-run organizations, just as the creation of materials, devices and wares. Number 7. France nominal GDP, $2.86 trillion. Beside being the most visited vacationer location on the planet, France has a high GDP for every capita, implying that there is an exclusive requirement of living inside the country. France depends vigorously on traveler pay for its roaring economy, however it likewise is a world chief in the substance, drug and vehicle businesses. Specifically, Sanofi is the world's 5th biggest drug organization, Group PSA is the world's 6th biggest vehicle maker and Total is one of the 7 significant oil organizations on the planet. France includes an especially huge horticultural presence inside the worldwide business sectors and records for 33% of farming area in Europe. It is known for the creation of top-notch produce, including cheddar, wine, poultry, dairy items and wheat, which are the principal trades. Around 90 million travelers visit France every year to encounter this fine culture and way of life, and the travel industry represents around 10% of ostensible GDP, just as supporting around 11% of homegrown work. Number 6. United Kingdom nominal GDP, $2.98 trillion. The United Kingdom has one of the world's most globalized economies, and worldwide exchange assumes a significant part in the economy. The administration's area adds to around 80% of generally GDP, with a specific spotlight on banking and money, as the UK is the world's second biggest monetary focus, after New York. The UK's national bank is the Bank of England, which is liable for setting loan fees and keeping a steady typical cost for basic items the country over. A pioneer in the avionic business, the UK has assisted with creating numerous well-known airplanes models in a joint effort with unfamiliar makers, like Boeing and Airbus. The drug business is likewise extremely unmistakable and has contributed towards innovative work, retail, physician-recommended medications and antibody advancement during seasons of health-related crisis. Some top pharma stocks in the UK right currently are GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, and AstraZeneca. Perhaps the most well-known stock records on the planet to exchange is the FTSE 100, which comprises of the UK's main 100 organisations by market capitalisation. This list addresses the most noteworthy performing stocks in the UK, including those referenced previously. Number 5. India nominal GDP, $11.32 trillion. Regardless of India being fifth on this rundown, it is in reality third as far as PPP rankings. India has the quickest developing economy on the planet and has expanded its size by multiple times since 2000. It is portrayed as a creating market economy, as it will in general rely upon organic market from different nations. India is perhaps the biggest provider in the realm of items, where 66% of the populace work in horticultural and food creation. This incorporates milk, products of the soil, fish, rice, wheat, dairy cattle, sugarcane and cotton. India adds to the world's economy regarding materials creation, common assets, coal, concrete, vehicles, and it is a gigantic exporter of raw petroleum and flammable gas. Number 4. Germany nominal GDP, $4.16 trillion. Germany is the head of Europe's biggest economies and depends vigorously on the fare of excellent made merchandise. There are an assortment of areas addressed inside the German Securities Exchange. The DAX 30 is additionally a likeness the Dow Jones 30 stock record, holding 30 blue-chip stocks on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, which is the 10th biggest stock trade on the planet by market capitalization. Adidas, BMW, Deutsche Bank, Merck and SAP are only a couple of the setup names that make up the DAX 30. Beside an effective stock trade, Germany's depository market adds to its part as perhaps the biggest economy on the planet. Its obligation protections and government bonds have developments of around 10 to 30 years and are viewed as medium-term and long-haul bonds. Germany's bond record reflects U.S. depository bonds. These incorporate the drawn-out Euro Bund, medium-term Euro Bobble and momentary Euro Shot securities. Number 3. Japan nominal GDP, $5.45 trillion. Japan is known for its flourishing auto industry, with striking brands, for example, Mitsubishi, Toyota, Honda, Suzuki and Nissan adding to a huge extent of benefits. Japan's likeness the Dow Jones 30 is the Nikkei 225 stock file, which addresses a benchmark of blue-chip organizations inside the Japanese economy. These are completely recorded on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, just as being accessible universally. The record includes various stocks from various areas, including innovation, transportation, buyer merchandise and money. Japan has one of the most minimal joblessness rates in the realm of simply 2.3%. In any case, it additionally has the most elevated number of older folks in any populace around the world, which financial experts dread may contrarily affect Japan's economy development later on. In this way, the Japanese government are attempting to keep the older populace more dynamic and increment the ripeness rate, so the economy isn't undermined. In spite of this, the Japanese yen, JPY, is perhaps the most exchanged monetary standards the world, alongside the cash pair USD, JPY. JPY has an opposite connection with the Nikkei 225 list, implying that when stocks are performing admirably, the yen seems more vulnerable, inciting brokers to put resources into the place of refuge JPY when their stock portfolio is under danger. Number 2, China nominal GDP, $27.80 trillion. Despite the fact that China's buying influence equality is of a higher figure, its ostensible GDP is essentially not exactly that of the US, leaving it second of the most extravagant nations on the planet. Be that as it may, many believe PPP to be a more characteristic and honest portrayal of the economy, as it thinks about value swelling. China is the world's biggest assembling economy and exporter of products, just as being the biggest country for worldwide exchange. The size hole between the US and China's general ostensible GDP has contracted fundamentally over ongoing years, and market investigators foresee that China will one day outperform the US in both ostensible GDP and PPP perspectives. China's tech industry is especially mainstream with merchants, as these are probably the biggest and blue-chip organizations on the planet, including Alibaba, JD.com and Baidu. Moreover, China is a significant supporter of the 5G industry, just as gaming, web-based features, and cell phone improvement. Regarding horticulture, China has the world's biggest rural economy that represents around 10% of the nation's GDP, in examination with other created nations on this rundown, including the UK and the US, where farming just records for around 1% of their public GDP. This makes China an all-rounder regarding worldwide sending out. Number 1, United States nominal GDP, $20.81 trillion. The United States has stood firm on the foothold of the world's most grounded economy since 1871, in the wake of outperforming the United Kingdom at that point. The United States dollar, USD, is perhaps the most grounded cash on the planet and the most famous money to exchange generally speaking. It is much of the time a segment of major forex sets, including the absolute most exchanged cash sets, like the Euro, USD, USD, JPY and GBP, USD. Consequently, a few brokers consider the USD a place of refuge, money, and endeavor to fence the cash in times of political or financial vulnerability. Also, the US is home to probably the biggest market cap stocks on the planet, incorporating blue-chip companies in assorted areas like Amazon, Internet Business, Microsoft, Innovation, Coca-Cola, Purchaser Products, Visa, Account, and Johnson & Johnson, Medical Services. These all element on the Dow Jones Industrial Average Stock Index, which is comprised of 30 blue-chip organizations that go about as a benchmark for industry principles. The New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, and Nasdaq are the top stock trades on the planet as per market capitalization. The US is the world's biggest provider of raw petroleum, making up around 18% of the world's creation. It overwhelmed Saudi Arabia as the main spot in 2013. A portion of the world's biggest market cap oil stocks are situated in the US, including ExxonMobil, BP, divided among the UK and US, and Chevron. Many oil rigs are found inside the Gulf of Mexico and its adjoining states, including Texas and Louisiana.